Right now, in this very moment, your mind is lying to you. It's whispering that you can't handle discomfort, that you need that next dopamine hit, that scrolling, that comfort food, that excuse. It's all justified. But the ancient Spartans knew something you've forgotten. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. For the next 48 hours, you're going to strip away every crutch, every escape, every weakness that's keeping you soft. No phone notifications, no sugar, no complaining, no snooze button. Just you, your discipline, and the raw truth of what you're actually made of. Marcus Aurelius faced the weight of an empire. Epictetus endured slavery. The Spartans trained their children in the snow. And you can't go 2 hours without checking Instagram? This isn't about punishment, it's about revelation. By the end of these 48 hours, you'll know whether you control your mind or whether it controls you. The challenge starts now, and most of you won't finish it. Will you?
Segment 1. The Spartan Truth About Comfort. The Spartans had a word, ponos, hardship as a path to excellence. While other Greek city-states built theaters and monuments, Sparta built warriors. Not through genetics, not through luck, through voluntary discomfort, embraced daily until hardship became their home. Here's what modern society won't tell you. Comfort is a slow poison. Every time you choose the easy path, you're not just avoiding pain, you're assassinating potential. You're training your mind to be weak, reactive, enslaved to whatever feeling happens to arise. Epictetus, himself born a slave, understood this better than anyone. No great thing is created suddenly, he said. But he also knew that most people never create anything great because they never create the conditions for greatness. They're too busy being comfortable. Think about it. Your great-grandfather probably worked 12-hour days doing physical labor, came home to a house without air conditioning, and considered a hot meal a luxury. 3 generations later, you're stressed because your Wi-Fi is slow and your coffee isn't the right temperature. This isn't progress. This is devolution. The human body and mind were designed for hardship. Your ancestors survived ice ages, famines, predators, and plagues. Your DNA is coded for survival under extreme conditions, but you're using that incredible survival machine to binge-watch Netflix and scroll through people you don't even like. Seneca put it brutally. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. You're starving for challenge, for meaning, for proof that you're capable of something difficult, and you're trying to fill that starvation with comfort, which is like trying to quench thirst by drinking salt water. For the next 48 hours, you're declaring war on comfort. Not because suffering is noble, it isn't, but because on the other side of discomfort lies the person you're supposed to become, the person your ancestors would recognize, the person your future self is begging you to be. The Spartans understood something profound. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your standards. Low standards, low life. High standards, high life. Simple mathematics. Your current standards allow you to hit snooze 5 times, to check your phone every 8 minutes, to complain about traffic, weather, and other people's incompetence, to medicate every uncomfortable feeling with food, entertainment, or distraction. These aren't just bad habits, they're architectural flaws in the foundation of your character. And foundations don't fix themselves. They require demolition and reconstruction. That's what the next 48 hours are: controlled demolition. Segment 2. The architecture of the challenge. This isn't a random collection of rules. This is a precision instrument designed to expose every crack in your mental armor. The Spartans didn't train harder, they trained smarter. Every rule in this challenge has a purpose, a philosophical foundation, and a specific weakness it's designed to reveal. Before we begin, understand this: you will want to quit. Your brain will generate elaborate justifications for why this challenge is unnecessary, extreme, even harmful. This is normal. This is expected. This is the entire point. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." For the next 48 hours, everything that happens is a test of that principle. Rule 1. Digital minimalism. Reclaim your attention. For 48 hours, your phone exists only for emergencies and this challenge. No social media, no mindless browsing, no dopamine slot machines disguised as apps. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." But you can't be present when you're scrolling through other people's highlight reels, training your brain to be perpetually dissatisfied with reality. Let's be honest about what your phone has become. It's not a tool anymore, it's a master. You don't use it, it uses you. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's once every 10 minutes during waking hours. You're literally interrupting your own life every 10 minutes to see if something more interesting is happening somewhere else. Think about that. You're telling your subconscious over and over, this moment isn't enough. This reality isn't enough. I need to be somewhere else, someone else, doing something else. And you wonder why you're anxious. Every time you reach for your phone out of habit, you're proving Seneca right. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your phone is an imagination amplifier, showing you 1,000 realities that aren't yours, 1,000 lives you're not living, while your actual life passes by unnoticed. Here's the protocol. Delete all social media apps from your phone. Not logged out, deleted. If you need them for work, you can reinstall them after the 48 hours. Turn off all notifications except phone calls from favorites. Put your phone in a drawer when you're home, in another room when you're working. The challenge? Catch yourself reaching for distraction. Count these moments. Keep a tally on a piece of paper. That number is how many times per day you're running from yourself. Most people will realize they reach for their phone 50 to 100 times per day out of pure habit. No notification, no reason, just the reflexive need to escape the present moment. This is the baseline metric of your mental weakness, and now you're going to strengthen it. When the urge comes, and it will come like waves, don't fight it, notice it, study it. Where do you feel it in your body? What thought precedes it? What are you trying to escape from in this moment? The Stoics were masters of turning obstacles into data. You're not fighting phone addiction, you're studying the mechanics of your own mind. Every urge is a teacher showing you exactly where you're weak. Rule 2. Nutritional discipline. Master the body's demands. No processed sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine after noon. 3 deliberate meals, no snacking, no grazing, no feeding every impulse the moment it arises. The Stoics understood that the body is not the enemy, but indulgence is. Musonius Rufus taught that we should accustom ourselves to be no slaves to pleasures, not because pleasure is wrong, but because being enslaved to it makes you weak.
Let's examine what's actually happening when you eat that cookie at 3 p.m. Physiologically, you're experiencing a minor blood sugar fluctuation, completely manageable, not dangerous, not even uncomfortable once you stop catastrophizing it. But psychologically, you're training your mind that every discomfort must be immediately medicated, that every craving deserves satisfaction, that you are not the master of your own house. This is the real damage, not the calories, not the sugar crash, the neural pathway you're reinforcing. I feel something uncomfortable, therefore I must do something about it immediately. This is the exact opposite of Stoic training. Epictetus was sold into slavery as a child. His master broke his leg deliberately just to demonstrate power. Years later, when Epictetus had gained his freedom and become one of Rome's greatest philosophers, he walked with a limp. Students would ask if he resented his former master. He'd say, "If I'm angry because of my leg, am I angry at myself for having a leg? At my parents for giving me a leg? At the gods for making humans with legs? Where does the anger stop?" He understood that the physical state, hunger, pain, discomfort, is neutral. The suffering comes from your relationship to that state. For 48 hours, you eat like a Spartan, simply, deliberately, without excess. Food is fuel, not entertainment. If this sounds extreme, ask yourself, when did eating become something you do every waking hour? Your great-grandparents ate 2, maybe 3 meals a day. They didn't have snack drawers, protein bars in every bag, or food delivery apps. They ate when it was time to eat. The rest of the time, they lived their lives. You've been conditioned to believe that mild hunger is an emergency. It's not. It's just a sensation, like an itch. You don't have to scratch every itch. Here's your meal protocol. 3 meals, eaten sitting down, without screens or distractions. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Nothing in between except water. No desserts, no processed foods, no drive-thrus. When the 3 p.m. hunger comes, and it will come like waves, you're going to sit with it, feel it, notice that it's just a sensation. It rises, it peaks, it falls. Like a wave, you don't drown in waves by letting them pass you over. You drown by panicking. This is meditation in action. This is Stoicism applied. You're learning the fundamental truth that the Buddha and Marcus Aurelius both knew. All discomfort is temporary if you stop adding suffering to it.
Rule 3. The Cold Exposure Protocol. Embrace controlled adversity. Every morning, end your shower with 60 seconds of cold water. Just 60 seconds. 1 minute of voluntary discomfort that most people will find every excuse to avoid. The Spartans bathed in the Eurotas River year-round, not for health benefits, though those exist, for something deeper, to prove to themselves daily that comfort is a choice, not a necessity. Seneca would intentionally sleep on hard surfaces and wear inadequate clothing to practice poverty, so that if poverty came, he'd already known he could handle it. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" The cold shower is your daily practice session for adversity. It's a controlled fire drill for your nervous system. Here's what happens physiologically. When cold water hits your skin, your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, screams danger. Your sympathetic nervous system activates, your breath quickens, your muscles tense. Every fiber of your being says, "Get out, now."
This is the same response you have to any perceived threat, a difficult conversation, a challenging project, a risky decision. Your body doesn't distinguish between cold water and actual danger. But here's the beautiful part. The cold water isn't dangerous, it's just uncomfortable, which means you have an opportunity to train your brain that discomfort doesn't equal danger. When you stay in that cold water, breathing slowly, relaxing your muscles, you're teaching your nervous system, we can handle this. The alarm is going off, but there's no fire. Stand down. This is profound retraining. Most people spend their entire lives being controlled by this alarm system. Feel discomfort, run away. Feel discomfort, run away. Over and over until your comfort zone is the size of a coffin. The cold shower expands that zone, 1 minute at a time. Here's your protocol. At the end of your normal shower, turn the water to cold, not lukewarm, cold as it goes. Set a timer for 60 seconds. Focus on your breath. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Slow, controlled, deliberate. The first 20 seconds will be shocking. Your brain will scream. Ignore it. The second 20 seconds, your body will adapt. The final 20 seconds, you'll realize you're fine. Not comfortable, but fine. This is the lesson. You can be fine while being uncomfortable. Marcus Aurelius practiced this truth daily. As emperor, he could have lived in absolute luxury. Instead, he chose simplicity. He slept on the floor when his generals slept in beds. He ate simple food when he could have had feasts. He chose discomfort deliberately, regularly, to maintain his edge. He wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." The cold shower is you choosing your way of thinking, choosing to be the kind of person who doesn't run from discomfort, who stands in it, breathes through it, masters it. Rule 4. Movement without escape. Physical discipline. 30 minutes of deliberate physical training. Not scrolling on the treadmill, not podcast-enhanced weightlifting, just you and the work. Full presence, full effort, full awareness. Epictetus said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." Applied to fitness, first learn what your body is capable of without distraction, then judge your limits. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never know their actual limits because they've never met them. They're too busy distracting themselves from discomfort, breaking up hard work with entertainment, never fully present for the struggle. Think about your typical workout. You're listening to a podcast or music. You're watching TV on the cardio machine. You're scrolling between sets. You're doing everything possible to avoid actually experiencing the physical sensation of effort. Why? Because effort is uncomfortable, and you've been trained that uncomfortable sensations must be escaped. But Musonius Rufus taught endurance of toil is training for great enterprises. How can you train endurance if you're constantly escaping the very sensation you need to build tolerance for? For 48 hours, when you train, Your mind stays with your body. Every rep, every breath, every burning sensation, you're there for it, learning what you're actually made of. Here's your protocol. 30 minutes of physical work. Could be running, body weight exercises, weightlifting, swimming, doesn't matter. What matters is presence. No music, no podcasts, no screens, just you and your body and the work. When it gets hard, and it will get hard faster without distraction, don't run from it. Lean into it. Study it. Where exactly does it hurt? How does the sensation change as you continue? What stories is your mind telling about why you should stop? The Spartans had a practice called the agoge, a brutal training program that began at age 7. Boys would train in combat, endure privation, sleep outside in winter, all without complaint. Those who complained were beaten, not for weakness, for failing to master their own minds. You're not going to be beaten for complaining, but you are going to notice when you do, and that noticing is its own form of discipline. Your body will send signals. This is too hard. We should stop. We've done enough. These aren't truths. They're negotiations. Your body is designed to preserve energy, to avoid unnecessary exertion, to quit well before actual limits are reached. Your job is to distinguish between actual danger and mere discomfort. Actual danger requires you to stop. Discomfort requires you to continue with proper form. The Stoics called this the view from above, the ability to step back and see yourself objectively. You're not your burning muscles, you're the consciousness observing burning muscles, and that consciousness can choose to continue.
Rule 5. The Silence Protocol. Eliminate complaint. This is where most people fail. No complaining. Not out loud, not in your head. For 48 hours, reality is exactly as it should be, and your job is to respond with excellence. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, war, betrayal, and the weight of empire. In his private journals, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't pretending hardship didn't exist. He was refusing to add suffering through complaint. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Suffering is what happens when you argue with reality and lose. And you always lose. Let's be precise about what complaining actually is. It's the verbal or mental expression of the belief that reality should be different than it is. You're stuck in traffic. Reality, you're in your car, not moving. Suffering, this shouldn't be happening. I'm going to be late. This is unfair. That idiot shouldn't have merged. Notice, none of that suffering comes from the traffic. It comes from your argument with the traffic. Epictetus put it simply, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. The traffic is neutral. Your judgment, this is terrible, this is unfair, this shouldn't be, creates the suffering. For 48 hours, you're eliminating the judgment, not suppressing it. That just creates internal pressure, transforming it. Here's the protocol. Catch yourself complaining and convert it immediately. I'm so tired becomes I have an opportunity to practice operating on low energy. This is annoying becomes this is exposing my intolerance, time to build tolerance. I can't believe this happened becomes this is happening, what's my move? This person is incompetent becomes this person is doing exactly what they're capable of doing. How do I adapt? This isn't toxic positivity. You're not pretending problems don't exist. You're refusing to add mental suffering to factual circumstances. The Stoics distinguished between preferred indifference and non-preferred indifference. Money, health, comfort, these are preferred. You'd rather have them than not, but they're indifferent to virtue. Whether you have them or not, you can still respond with excellence. Rain is a non-preferred indifferent. You'd prefer sun, but once it's raining, complaining about rain is irrational. It's raining. That's reality. Respond accordingly. Most people spend enormous mental energy wishing reality were different. The Stoics spent that energy responding excellently to reality as it is. When you catch yourself complaining, you're catching yourself wasting energy on what you can't control. That energy could be directed toward what you can control, your response. Here's a deeper layer. Complaining is often a hidden form of pride. This shouldn't be happening to me. I deserve better than this. I'm above this. You're not. None of us are. We're all subject to the same physical laws, the same chaos, the same randomness. Marcus Aurelius was literally emperor of Rome. If anyone could have complained about being above mundane problems, it was him. Instead, he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one."
Rule 6. The Early Rise Protocol. Own your morning. Wake up at the first alarm. No snooze, no negotiation. First alarm, feet on the floor. This seems simple. It's not. This might be the hardest rule in the challenge. Here's why. The moment between alarm and rising is the first negotiation of your day. Win it, and you set a tone of discipline. Lose it, and you've already told yourself that comfort trumps commitment. Marcus Aurelius struggled with this. He wrote about it explicitly. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? Even the philosopher-emperor had mornings where the bed felt more appealing than duty. The difference is he recognized this as the test it was, and he passed it. Here's what's actually happening when you hit snooze. You set an alarm because past you decided this was important. Future you needs to wake up at this time to accomplish something that matters, but present you, comfortable and warm, decides, actually, 10 more minutes of comfort is worth more than the commitment I made to myself. You're not just sleeping 10 more minutes, you're teaching yourself that your commitments are negotiable, that your word to yourself is meaningless, that comfort always wins. This is devastating training. The Spartans would wake their warriors in unpredictable ways, sometimes with cold water, sometimes with loud noises, sometimes by striking them. The goal wasn't cruelty, it was to eliminate the gradual, gentle transition from sleep to waking that makes you vulnerable in combat. You're not training for combat, you're training for something harder. Life in a world designed to make you soft. Protocol. Set one alarm. When it sounds, count backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet on the floor. No thinking, no debating, no just a few more minutes. The counting overrides the negotiation. This technique, popularized by Mel Robbins, is based on neuroscience, the 5-second window before your brain can generate reasons to avoid action. Use it. But here's the deeper Stoic principle. You're not trying to feel like getting up. You're getting up regardless of how you feel. Epictetus taught that we should first do what is necessary, then do what is possible. Getting up is necessary. Feeling like it is not. Most people spend their lives waiting to feel like doing things. The Stoics understood. Action creates motivation more reliably than motivation creates action.
Rule 7. Evening reflection. The Stoic audit. Every evening, 10 minutes of written reflection. 3 questions. Where did I choose discomfort over ease today, and what did I learn? Where did I fail this challenge, and what does that reveal about my weaknesses? If I died tonight, would today's version of me be someone I'm proud to have been? Seneca practiced this nightly, writing, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. Not for self-punishment, but for self-knowledge. This is different from journaling. This is forensic analysis of your own character. You're not writing about your feelings, you're documenting your decisions and the principles behind them. You're treating yourself as a research subject, gathering data on the operating system of your mind. Here's the protocol. At the end of each day, sit with a notebook. Write by hand, not typed. The physical act of writing engages different neural pathways, creates deeper processing. Question 1. Where did I choose discomfort over ease today?
Be specific, not "I worked out." That's too vague. At 6:15 a.m., my alarm went off. I felt tired. My mind said to sleep more. I counted from 5 and got up anyway. I chose discomfort over ease. At 2:30 p.m., I wanted a cookie. My mind said I deserved it. I noticed the craving, observed it for 2 minutes, and chose water instead. I chose discomfort over ease. These are data points. You're mapping the landscape of your discipline. Question 2. Where did I fail this challenge? Be brutally honest. The Stoics valued truth above ego. Seneca wrote, "To err is human, to admit it divine." At 9:47 a.m., I checked Instagram out of habit. I didn't even realize I'd opened it until I was 3 posts deep. I failed the digital minimalism rule. At dinner, I complained about the restaurant service. I said, "This is ridiculous," out loud. I failed the silence protocol. Don't just note the failure, analyze it. What was the trigger? What was the mental state? What can you learn? This isn't about shame. Shame is useless. This is about pattern recognition. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. You can't improve what you don't measure. Question 3. If I died tonight, would today's version of me be someone I'm proud to have been? This is Marcus Aurelius's practice of memento mori. Remember, you will die. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Not to be morbid, but to be honest. Your life is finite. This day is gone, never to return. Was it worthy of you? Did you live according to your principles, or did you sleepwalk through in pursuit of comfort and distraction? The Stoics believed that philosophy wasn't about clever arguments, it was about preparation for death. A life well lived is the only thing you can take with you. Everything else is borrowed. So, today, were you the person you want to be? Not the person you hope to become someday. The person you were today, in the small moments, in the unglamorous choices. This question has teeth. It should make you uncomfortable. If it doesn't, you're not being honest.
Segment 3. The Psychological Warfare. Hours 0 through 12. Hour 0. You're starting the challenge. You feel motivated. You've got this. The first few hours will be easy because willpower is high, stakes feel real, and you haven't been tested yet. Hour 2. First craving hits. You want to check your phone. There's no notification. You just want to check. This is pure habit. Notice it. This is the first teacher. Your brain is revealing its conditioning. Like Pavlov's dogs salivating at a bell, your brain is conditioned to seek stimulation every few minutes. Except you're not a dog. You're a rational being, capable of overriding conditioning. Epictetus was obsessed with this idea. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You can't control the craving arising. You can control whether you feed it. Hour 4. You're hungry between meals. Not actual hunger. Your body has plenty of fuel, but habit hunger, schedule hunger, boredom disguised as hunger. The Stoics would ask, is this a genuine need or a programmed want? Genuine needs are rare. Programmed wants are everywhere. Sit with it. This is meditation. Buddhism and Stoicism converge on this point. Observe the craving without acting on it, and it loses power. Feed every craving, and they multiply. Hour 6. You're feeling proud. You've made it a quarter of the way through. You're already thinking about posting on social media about this challenge, about the likes you'll get, the validation. Catch this. This is ego sneaking in, trying to turn discipline into performance. Marcus Aurelius warned against this. Everything you're trying to reach by taking the long way round, you could have right now, this moment, if you'd only stop thwarting your own attempts. The goal isn't to be seen doing hard things, it's to do hard things, period. Hour 8. Work stress hits. A colleague says something annoying. Traffic is bad. Your computer is slow. The complaint muscle wants to activate. This is deeply programmed. Notice how automatically it arises. You don't decide to be annoyed. Annoyance just appears, but you can decide what to do with it. The Stoic practice, name it. I'm noticing annoyance arising. Interesting. Not suppressing it, not feeding it, just observing it, like a scientist observing a specimen. Hour 12, first major test. Someone offers you food you'd normally eat, dessert maybe, or snacks at a meeting. Everyone else is having some. It would be weird to decline. Here's where social pressure meets discipline. The Spartans understood. Excellence is always weird. Normal is mediocre by definition. Politely decline. No explanation needed. No thanks, I'm good. That's sufficient. If pressed, I'm doing a personal challenge. That's all the justification required. Watch how uncomfortable this makes you. Watch how much you want to people please, to go along, to not stand out. This discomfort is data showing you how much power you've given to others' opinions. Epictetus, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Translation, other people's opinions are not your concern. Your principles are.
Segment 4. The crisis point, hours 12 to 24. Hour 12 to 24 is where the real challenge begins. Motivation has worn off. You're no longer running on enthusiasm, you're running on commitment. And commitment without enthusiasm feels like prison. This is the point. The Spartans didn't train warriors when they felt like it. They trained them in snow, in hunger, in exhaustion, specifically when they didn't feel like it. Because in battle, you don't get to fight only when you're motivated. Life is the same battle. Hour 14, the mental negotiations begin. Your brain is sophisticated. It won't say, let's quit. It'll say, this is too extreme. Real wisdom is balance. You've already proven your point. One small exception won't hurt. This sounds reasonable. It's not. It's your brain trying to return to comfort using philosophy as camouflage. Marcus Aurelius dealt with this constantly. As emperor, he could have justified any indulgence. Instead, he wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." Not do the right thing when it's easy, just do the right thing. Hour 16, you're tired. You didn't sleep great. Work was draining. You deserve a break, right? You've earned a little comfort. Catch this language, deserve and earned. These are ego constructs. The universe doesn't owe you comfort. Reality doesn't care about your effort. You're owed nothing except the consequences of your choices. Choose discipline, get strong. Choose comfort, stay weak. Simple causality. Seneca, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The tiredness isn't the problem, it's the friction that polishes you. Hour 18, evening. You're seeing people on their phones, watching TV, relaxing. They look happy. You're sitting here, uncomfortable, disciplined, alone in your commitment. This is the hardest part, voluntary difficulty in a world that chooses ease. But the Stoics knew, What looks like happiness is often just comfort, and comfort is not fulfillment. Pleasure is not meaning. Ease is not excellence. You're building something they're not. Character, discipline, proof of capability. These are invisible, which is why most people don't build them. But they're also the only things that can't be taken from you. Hour 20. You're questioning the whole challenge. Why am I doing this? What's the point? Nobody cares. This is arbitrary. This is your mind in retreat mode, trying to find an exit ramp from discomfort. The point isn't external validation. The point is self-respect. The point is knowing you can commit to something difficult and follow through. The point is every time you'll face hardship in the future, you'll remember, I did 48 hours of deliberate difficulty. I can handle this. Hour 24. Halfway. You've made it 24 hours. This is significant. This is proof. But don't celebrate yet. The second 24 hours are harder because the novelty is gone, fatigue has accumulated, and your brain knows exactly how much longer you have to endure. The Spartans had a saying, the reward of suffering is experience. You're building experience in enduring difficulty. This is valuable beyond measure.
Segment 5. The Deep Work. Hours 24 to 36. Hour 24 to 36. You're in the deep work now. Surface level discipline has been tested. Now you're testing something deeper, your relationship with yourself. Because here's what this challenge really is. It's finding out if you're trustworthy. Can you trust yourself to do what you said you'd do when nobody's watching, when it's hard, when there's no immediate reward? Most people can't. Most people will have quit by now, and they'll have a great story about why. It was too extreme. I listened to my body. I'm being more balanced. These are fine stories, but they're stories nonetheless. The truth is simpler. It was uncomfortable, and they chose comfort. You're still here. That means something. Hour 26. You're noticing things. Without your phone, time moves differently, slower. You're actually experiencing it instead of fragmenting it into 8-minute chunks between distractions. Seneca wrote about this. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. He calculated that most people, if you remove distraction and triviality, lived maybe 5 or 10 years of actual presence in a 70-year life. You're reclaiming presence. Hour by hour, you're learning what it feels like to actually be where you are. Hour 28. The physical discomfort has become background noise. You're not hungry anymore. You're just aware of emptiness between meals. The cold shower isn't shocking anymore. It's just a thing that happens. This is adaptation. This is growth. Your nervous system is recalibrating what normal feels like. The Stoics understood. Humans are infinitely adaptable. We can get used to almost anything. The question is, what are you adapting to? Comfort and ease, or challenge and growth? Hour 30. Deep insight territory. When you remove all the noise, the phone, the snacks, the complaints, the entertainment, what's left? You. Just you. Your actual thoughts, your actual feelings, the things you've been avoiding by staying busy. This is where the challenge becomes internal. For some people, this is uncomfortable in a different way, not physical discomfort, but psychological. You're face to face with yourself, no buffer, no distraction. Blaise Pascal said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. The Stoics would agree.
If you can't be alone with your own mind, you'll spend your whole life running from it. Hour 32. You're realizing how much of your daily routine was just habit. The mid-morning coffee, the afternoon scroll, the evening TV. None of it was necessary. It was just programming. Epictetus taught his students to examine their impressions, the automatic thoughts and urges that arise. Most people never examine them. They just obey. You're learning to examine, to see the gap between stimulus and response, to recognize this is just a thought. I don't have to act on it. This is freedom, real freedom, not doing whatever you want. That's slavery to impulse, but choosing your response to any situation. That's power. Hour 36, 3/4 done. Your body is tired but functional. Your mind is clear but tested. You've learned more about yourself in 36 hours than most people learn in years. Why? Because most people never test themselves. They stay in the comfort zone, where everything's familiar, where they already know they can handle it. You left that zone 36 hours ago. You're in growth territory now.
Segment 6, the final push, hours 36 to 48. Hour 36 to 48, the final push. This is where champions are made or broken, not in the starting line when everyone's fresh, in the final miles when your body's screaming and your mind's looking for exits. The Spartans trained for this exact moment. They deprive their warriors of food, sleep, comfort for days, then test them in combat drills. Not because they were sadistic, but because they knew battles are won by whoever can function when exhausted. Your battle is different, but the principle is the same. Can you maintain discipline when tired, when bored, when every fiber wants to quit? Hour 38, the finish line is visible. You can almost taste it. This makes the remaining hours paradoxically harder because your brain is already celebrating. I've basically done it. What's the harm in ending a few hours early? Catch this rationalization. This is weakness disguised as practicality. Marcus Aurelius addressed this explicitly. Just because you've hit rock bottom doesn't mean you get to stop digging your way out. You keep going until the job is done, not until you feel like you've done enough. The job is 48 hours. 48 means 48, not 46, not basically 48. Hour 40. Something interesting happens here for people who make it this far. The resistance starts to fade. You stop fighting the challenge and start flowing with it. This is what the Stoics called amor fati, love of fate. Not just accepting what is, but embracing it, choosing it, making it yours. You're choosing this discomfort. Nobody's forcing you. This is voluntary, and that makes it powerful. When discomfort is forced on you, you're a victim. When you choose it, you're a warrior in training. Hour 42, you're starting to feel something unexpected. Gratitude. Gratitude for the challenge, for the discomfort, for the opportunity to prove something to yourself. This is the transformation. You've moved from "I have to do this" to "I get to do this." Epictetus taught, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. You're not fighting reality anymore. You're dancing with it. Hour 44, 4 hours left. You've been disciplined for almost 2 full days. This version of you, disciplined, focused, intentional, this could be your default, not your exception. That's the real question this challenge poses. What if you lived like this? Not the specific rules, those are arbitrary, but the principle. What if you made decisions based on who you want to become rather than what you feel like doing?
The Stoics believed that we become what we repeatedly do. Aristotle said the same thing. Every choice is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. For 44 hours, you've been voting for the disciplined version, the strong version, the version that does what they said they'd do. Hour 46, 2 hours left. You're going to make it, unless you quit now, which would be the most painful failure possible, quitting when you're this close. Some people do quit here, not because they can't finish, but because they're afraid of what finishing means. If you finish, you'll have proof that you're capable of hard things. And if you're capable of this, what else are you capable of? What other excuses will you have to abandon? Finishing this challenge is dangerous to your excuses. Hour 48. Done. You did it. 48 hours of voluntary discipline, 48 hours of choosing difficulty over ease, 48 hours of proving that your mind doesn't control you, you control your mind. But don't celebrate yet, because the real challenge is about to begin.
Segment 7. The Integration Challenge. What happens next? You've completed 48 hours. Congratulations! Genuinely. Most people won't even start this challenge, let alone finish it. But here's what the Stoics understood that most people miss. One-off acts of discipline are interesting. Sustained discipline is transformative. Epictetus didn't practice Stoicism for 48 hours. He practiced it until his death. Marcus Aurelius didn't lead with virtue for a weekend. He led with virtue through plague, war, betrayal for decades. The question isn't whether you can do hard things for 48 hours. It's whether you can integrate the lessons from these 48 hours into the next 48 years. Here's the brutal truth. If you return to your old patterns on day 3, this challenge was just performance, an interesting story you'll tell at parties. Yeah, I did this crazy Stoic challenge once. But if you extract the lessons and build them into your operating system, this challenge becomes the inflection point in your life story. So what do you keep? First, examine what you learned. Pull out your evening reflections. Read through 48 hours of documented self-observation. Look for patterns. Where were you weakest? That's where you need to focus. Where were you strongest? That's evidence of existing capability you can build on. What surprised you? Those surprises are data about your self-concept versus your actual capacity. The Stoics were relentless self-examiners. Seneca would review his day every night. Marcus Aurelius filled journals with self-interrogation. They understood you can't improve what you don't examine. Second, choose 1 or 2 practices to maintain permanently. Don't try to keep all the rules. That's not sustainable, and it's not the point. The point is selective integration of what serves your growth. Maybe you keep the cold showers, 5 minutes of voluntary discomfort each morning that sets a tone of discipline. Maybe you keep the digital minimalism on weekends, 2 days a week where your phone is a tool, not a master. Maybe you keep the evening reflection, 10 minutes before bed where you audit your choices and recommit to your principles. Maybe you keep the complaint-free practice, training yourself to respond to obstacles with problem-solving rather than whining. Choose what resonates, but choose something. Make this challenge count. Third, schedule the next challenge. The Spartans didn't do one hard thing and retire. They structured their entire society around regular, repeated challenge. The Stoics didn't practice philosophy once. They practiced it daily. Put it on your calendar. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whenever. Another 48 hours. Different rules maybe. Same principle. Voluntary difficulty to maintain your edge.
Because here's what happens without regular challenge. You soften, not immediately, but gradually. The comfort zone that you just expanded will contract back to its original size if you don't maintain pressure on it. It's like strength training. You can't go to the gym once, get strong, and stay strong forever. You have to keep training. Discipline is the same.
Segment 8. The Deeper Philosophy. Why this matters. Let's zoom out. Why does any of this matter? Why choose difficulty in a world offering infinite ease? The Stoics had an answer, and it's not the one you'd expect. They didn't pursue discipline because they hated pleasure. Seneca enjoyed fine wine. Marcus Aurelius had access to every luxury. Epictetus appreciated comfort when it was available. They pursued discipline because they understood something profound about human psychology. Dependency makes you fragile. Freedom requires capability. Think about it. If you need your phone to feel okay, the phone controls you. If you need sugar to manage your mood, sugar controls you. If you need constant comfort to function, discomfort controls you. Every dependency is a vulnerability. Every need that isn't truly necessary is a weakness that reality can exploit. The Stoics wanted to be anti-fragile, not just resilient, anti-fragile. Nassim Taleb coined this term millennia later, but the Stoics lived it. They wanted to get stronger from stress, not just survive it. How do you become anti-fragile? By regularly exposing yourself to controlled stress, by training your system to adapt to discomfort, by proving to yourself repeatedly that you can handle hardship. This 48-hour challenge is controlled stress exposure. You're voluntarily creating difficulty in a safe context, so that when involuntary difficulty arrives, and it will, your system knows, we've been here before, we've got this. But there's a deeper layer. The Stoics believed that the only good is virtue, excellence of character. Everything else, health, wealth, pleasure, comfort, is indifferent. Preferred, yes, but not essential to living well. This sounds insane to modern ears. How can health be indifferent? How can wealth not matter? But dig deeper. The Stoic point isn't that these things have no value. It's that they're not in your complete control, and therefore can't be the foundation of your well-being. You can lose your health through bad luck. You can lose your wealth in a market crash. You can lose comfort when circumstances change. If your happiness depends on these things, you're building on sand. But your character, your response to adversity, your commitment to virtue, nobody can take those from you. Not disease, not poverty, not disaster. Epictetus, enslaved and crippled, remained free internally because his well-being didn't depend on external conditions. It depended on his choices. Viktor Frankl, in a Nazi concentration camp, observed the same thing. Those who survived psychologically intact weren't the physically strongest. They were those who maintained internal freedom, who chose their attitude regardless of circumstances. This is the real goal of challenges like this, to relocate your sense of well-being from external conditions to internal choices. When you can be okay without your phone, you're free from phone dependency. When you can be okay while hungry, you're free from food dependency. When you can be okay in discomfort, you're free from comfort dependency. This is liberation, real liberation. Not doing whatever you want, that's slavery to impulse, but being okay regardless of circumstances, that's freedom.
The warrior mindset, applying Stoic principles. The Spartans were warriors. The Stoics were philosophers, but they shared a fundamental truth. Life is combat, not against other people, against entropy, against chaos, against the parts of yourself that choose ease over excellence. You are in a war, not metaphorically, literally. A war for your attention, your time, your potential. Every algorithm is optimized to capture your attention. Every junk food is engineered to override your satiety signals. Every comfort is designed to keep you passive. Every distraction is fighting to fragment your focus. You're surrounded by forces trying to make you weak, distracted, dependent. And most people lose this war without realizing they're in it. The 48-hour challenge is basic training for this war. You're learning the fundamental skills: attention control, resisting phone urges, impulse control, managing food cravings, discomfort tolerance, cold showers, exercise, mental discipline, no complaining, self-awareness, evening reflection. These aren't arbitrary skills. These are the foundation of agency in the modern world. Without attention control, you're a puppet to whatever's loudest. Without impulse control, you're a slave to immediate gratification. Without discomfort tolerance, you avoid everything difficult. Without mental discipline, you're buffeted by circumstances. Without self-awareness, you can't course correct. The Stoics called this developing your inner citadel, a fortress of character that external events can't breach. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But quality thinking requires space, and space requires the ability to resist constant stimulation. You've just proven you can create that space. You can resist stimulation. You can think clearly. Now the question is, will you protect this ability, or will you give it away again to the dopamine merchants and attention thieves? Segment 10. The legacy question. What will you build? The Spartans built a society that lasted centuries and influenced military thinking for millennia. The Stoics built a philosophy that survived the fall of Rome, guided emperors and slaves, and remains relevant 2,000 years later. What will you build? Not monuments or empires necessarily, but what will you leave behind? What evidence will exist that you were here and that you chose difficulty over ease? Most people leave nothing. They consume more than they create. They take more than they give. They coast through on minimal viable effort, then wonder why life feels empty. Seneca wrote, "We're tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers." You just invested 48 hours deliberately, not scrolling, not numbing, not coasting, deliberately challenging yourself, building something, capability. That's the invisible legacy. Every time you choose difficulty, you're building internal infrastructure. Discipline is infrastructure. Character is infrastructure. These don't decay like physical possessions, they compound. A person who's done 48 hours of disciplined practice is different from one who hasn't. Not morally better, differently capable. They know they can endure, they have proof, and that proof changes everything that comes after. The next challenge you face, difficult conversation, career setback, relationship struggle, you'll approach it differently because you'll remember, I did 48 hours of voluntary difficulty. I can handle this involuntary difficulty. This is how the Stoics prepared for death, by practicing difficulty while alive. When death came, it was just one more difficulty, and they'd spent a lifetime proving they could handle difficulty. You're not preparing for death, you're preparing for life, for the genuine hardships that are coming, because they're always coming. Loss, failure, pain, disappointment, these are guaranteed. The question is, when they arrive, will you crumble or endure? The 48 hours you just completed are evidence you can endure. Build on that evidence. Stack challenge on challenge, difficulty on difficulty. Not to be masochistic, but to be capable. Because capability is freedom, and freedom is the only wealth that matters.
Segment 11. The final Stoic teaching, Memento Mori. One last truth, the hardest truth, the one that makes all of this matter. You're going to die. Not someday in the abstract future. Actually die. Your consciousness will cease. This specific configuration of atoms that makes you you will disperse. Everything you've accumulated, possessions, status, comfort, will become irrelevant instantly. The Stoics meditated on this daily, not to be morbid, but to be honest and to be motivated. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." If you knew you'd die tomorrow, would you have spent today scrolling Instagram, eating junk food mindlessly, complaining about traffic? Or would you have lived with presence, intention, discipline? The Stoics practiced as if each day might be their last, not frantically trying to squeeze pleasure from every moment, but ensuring each moment was worthy. Because here's the thing about death. It's the ultimate test of what mattered. On your deathbed, your bank account won't matter. Your follower count won't matter. Your comfort level won't matter. What will matter is, did you become who you were capable of becoming? Did you face challenges or avoid them? Did you live by principles or by impulses? Seneca, in his final moments, demonstrated this perfectly. Nero ordered him to commit suicide, a common way Roman emperors disposed of problematic advisors. Seneca could have begged, bargained, complained about injustice. Instead, he gathered his students, gave final teachings, cut his veins, and died discussing philosophy. His last act was consistent with his teaching. Handle death like you handled life, with rationality, courage, and grace. You're not facing death today, but you are facing the question death poses. How will you live? This 48-hour challenge is practice for that question. Every small choice, get up or hit snooze, eat the cookie or resist, check your phone or stay present, is practice for the ultimate choice. Live with intention or coast on autopilot. The Spartans understood this viscerally. They raised their children knowing some would die in battle. They lived every day aware that death was close. This didn't make them morbid, it made them alive, truly alive. When you know time is finite, you don't waste it, you use it. Every hour becomes valuable, every choice becomes significant. You just spent 48 hours deliberately. That's 48 hours you'll never get back. But unlike most hours, these were invested, not spent. You built something, proof of capability. Now you have a choice. You can return to unconscious living, scrolling, snacking, coasting, complaining, or you can live deliberately as if time matters. Because it does. Time is all you have, and it's running out. Not to scare you, to wake you up. The Stoics believed that most people sleepwalk through life. They're not really alive, they're just not yet dead. They go through motions, follow scripts, avoid discomfort, seek pleasure, and die without ever really living. You have the chance to do something different. This challenge proved it's possible. The question is, will you?
48 hours. 2 days, 2,880 minutes, 172,800 seconds. You chose discipline over comfort, intention over impulse, growth over ease. Most people won't understand what you just did. They'll think it's extreme, unnecessary, maybe even unhealthy. Let them think whatever they need to think. You know the truth. You just proved to yourself that you're capable of hard things, and that proof is worth more than any comfort you sacrificed. The Spartans built warriors through voluntary hardship. The Stoics built character through voluntary discipline. You just walked that same path. Not as well as they did. This was 48 hours, not a lifetime, but you walked it. And now you know the way. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, Musonius Rufus, they're all dead. The Spartans are dust, but their principles remain, because truth doesn't age, discipline doesn't expire, character doesn't become obsolete. What they taught 2,000 years ago is still true today. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your choices. Choose comfort, get weakness. Choose discipline, get strength. Simple causality. You've just chosen strength for 48 hours. That's significant. That's real. That's evidence that you can do it again. So do it again. Not immediately. Rest, integrate, reflect. Let the lesson sink in. But schedule the next challenge. 3 months, 6 months, whenever. Another test of discipline. Different rules, same principle. Because the battlefield for your attention, your time, your potential never ends. The forces trying to make you weak, distracted, and dependent never stop. Your only defense is regular practice of discipline. This is the mental Spartan way. Train your mind like Spartans trained warriors. Not once, not occasionally, constantly. Because the alternative is sleepwalking through life, being controlled by algorithms, impulses, and other people's expectations, living someone else's script instead of writing your own. You just wrote 48 hours of your own script. That's power. That's agency. That's freedom. Now write the rest. The 48-hour Spartan Resilience Challenge is complete. The Lifetime Challenge begins now. Train your mind, conquer yourself, become who you're capable of becoming. And when death comes, as it will for all of us, you'll face it like Seneca faced Nero's order, calmly, rationally, with the knowledge that you lived according to your principles. That's the victory that matters. Now go build it. Mental Spartan, where ancient Stoic philosophy meets modern warrior mindset. The battlefield is your mind. The enemy is comfort. The victory is becoming who you were meant to be. Get to work.